Let's look at a Visual Basic exercise. And what I've done is I've gone into File, New, Project Application, and I've created this Allentown Water Department GUI. And so I have a label. Below them I have two text boxes. Text boxes are used to enter information. I have two buttons, and buttons for now are where you put in your calculations and most of your programming. And I have two labels here, and below it I have two labels, and these, you notice these labels are empty. If I click on these and look at the properties, say for gallons used, let me scroll to the top, you'll see that I gave each label a unique name. LBL means that it's a label, so I can easily identify it, and I also describe what it's used for. That's the number of gallons used. In this case, let's see what other properties are appropriate for this. Since flat style, border style, fixed, single, so that you can actually see it. I've fixed the width of this, even though there's no text in here to keep it from shrinking down and making it invisible. I've fixed this so that you can still see the box there, so that when the numbers come up, you'll be able to easily identify where the numbers are going to pop up at. Let's look at the programming for this. The exit button just has, I'm just going to close the application. But in the calculate button, let's see what we do. So in the calculate button, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some variables here that I can use to store information. Here I've got my text box. So these two text boxes, when I run this program, when I run this application, let's go ahead and do that. Start debugging. Now, when I run this application, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in current number of gallons, and then the gallons, say for example for last month, and then I'm going to click calculate, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract the current number, I'm going to subtract the previous reading from the current reading, and that'll give me how many gallons have been used. And then I'm going to take that number and multiply it by how much the cost per gallon, and that'll give me my total charge. Okay. Well, let's close this. And so let's see, let's go ahead and take a look at our program. And I'm going to double click on this button, and okay, so created a bunch of variables here. From the text box, from the first text box, I took I'm taking the information, whatever was typed in there, and I'm storing it into an integer data type. You notice that whatever's coming in from that text box is text, or in other words, string values, not something that you can actually calculate, like a double or an integer data type. So I'm going to convert that and change it from a text data type to an integer or a number. So from text to a number, and save that into my variable called int, which means it's an integer data type, current, or the current number of gallons. Same thing for the previous number of gallons. And so I want to subtract those two, store it into the actual number of gallons that have been used. I'm going to then calculate that. I'm going to see, I'm going to take the number of gallons used, calculate the amount per gallon, and I'm going to see if that's, I'm going to, let me change that. I'm going to first see how many gallons are used. Well, in this example is a little different, but I want to see how many gallons are used. If it's over a certain amount, I may want to change the calculation to say that there's a different price that's being calculated. So on my constant values, I would be putting those up here. And so after I've made that decision, depending on the number of gallons, I may switch from one amount, one charge for a certain number of gallons to a different charge for a different number of gallons. Okay. So after I've got that calculation, I want to display that value. And to display that value, I need to turn it from a number back into a string, and then display it into my label so I can actually see that value, and do that for both of them. And in this case, not only display the value, but show it as a currency type when I display it. Okay, so after I've done all that, then I can go back and set the focus to my text box for the current reading, and select that. Okay, and by the way, you may want to have an event where you may want to change the you may want to test to see if you're entering in a number, and also allow, let's see what we've got. You can allow for the backspace key. Okay, so an event is when something happens, when you click on something, when you change something, when you actually do something on your form. That's an event. So testing in this case, like I said, just to make sure that whenever a key is pressed, that that key, whatever comes in, whatever you're typing in, is going to be between 0 or 9. Okay, that's about it. That's a quick rundown of a basic application.